Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. Let's bring in our next guest for our cash tag segment. That's going to be Landon Swan. He's a co-founder at LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're talking Domino's Pizza. Stock's fallen. Now, remember, about 3 months ago, this stock jumped on that partnership between Uber Eats and Domino's. It's filled that gap to the downside here. And now, Landon, you've got all these stories coming out about these weight loss drugs. They're hitting everything, whether it's snacks, whether it's pizza, sodas. I mean, what kind of data do you have here? Because the stock's down about 6% so far this month.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's interesting that you bring up Ozempic and the weight loss and what it's doing to, I think Walmart put a big story out about it. You know, we dove into that, and we actually we're releasing a report to our hedge fund clients and investors. We don't see a giant impact. You know, when it comes to Pepsi, Andy talked about it, I think last week or earlier this week on the show. I think it was Monday, and we just don't see a huge impact on the snacking as much as Walmart claims. And so I don't know if it's going to have a big impact on pizza. I think it probably has more impact on snacking. But again, we don't see it in the data. We don't see significant drop off there. And yes, they did have a very solid reaction to finally, I guess, caving might be the right word, and saying, you know what, we're not going to do all the deliveries ourselves. We'll partner with a third party. You know, I appreciate their effort of trying to stick it out and do it all and not share those margins. But you know, the street and investors really wanted to see that, right? They wanted to see that they were going to get that third party app. And, you know, we've seen that, you know, when you look at visits for Domino's, people going to the website, it's up about 7% on a year-over-year basis, whereas Yum's, Pizza Hut, and Papa John's are down about 3%. So they're beating their competition. It's a little bit stronger. It's not amazing numbers, but it's stronger than the competition. If you look at happiness, they're all right in line about with each other. So there's nothing really to talk about there. But I do love the fact that they're getting, you know, they're a leader in technology. You don't normally think of a pizza company as a technology company, but they've done a really good job of becoming a technology company. So, you know, they had the pizza tracker, they had the proprietary ordering app, and now they're partnering with Microsoft and integrating more AI into their ordering systems and their store operations just to become more efficient and just to be a better provider of their service. That's the good news, is they're a kind of a tech company. So I like to see that they're partnering with Uber Eats and their other company, Postmates. The concern that I have, though, is that pizza is, you know, we've talked about this 100 times before. It used to be the thing that you get whenever you wanted food delivered to your house. Now you can have anything delivered to your house. And so they're in a much different spot than pizza companies were 15 years ago. So they're fighting a little bit of an uphill battle with competition with every other type of food out there. So while this company is doing well among pizza companies in general, you can see that the interest over time here, if you look at Domino's, Papa John's, Pizza Hut, even Little Caesars on this chart, they're all kind of trending downward over time. Even though Domino's is the leader here, which, you know, 10 or 15 years ago, you'd have been shocked to hear somebody say that because they were so far behind. Even though they're now the leader and they've done a great job of coming back, they're in an industry that I think is just in a tough spot. It's you know, they've got headwinds of all this competition of all the other types of food you could have delivered. So while I like the company, I don't love the industry. So that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, if you want to bet on a pizza company, I'd go with Domino's, but I'm not sure I'd bet on a pizza company.
All right, we have a lot to talk about, Landon, so let's get to it. First and foremost, this Ozempic story that we covered earlier in the week with PepsiCo, right? And that was fabulous data by LikeFolio on PepsiCo. This, to me, this has a first week in January health club vibe to it going on here, right? Like everyone's taking Ozempic and no one's eating any food anymore. In what world are you giving up pizza? In what world is that going to happen? And so I think this deal with Uber that puts Domino's kind of in the big leagues of delivery again is a game changer for them. But this story that we talked about, right, that is spread like wildfire, is got all these stocks on the defensive. Landon, the same kind of theme that we did, I think, Monday when we talked about PepsiCo, your data says differently, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we said on Monday that Pepsi was,
Yeah.
we didn't see much of an impact, right? We said it was fine, and they reported good numbers. I was glad to see that they did. With Domino's, we don't see much weakness, frankly. But again, it's an uphill battle. So I don't think I love your analogy with the first week in January. I mean, that's a real thing. If people aren't aware of what we're talking about, go to the gym the first week of January, and then go to the gym sometime in the summer, and just look at the difference. It's unbelievable. Everybody goes to work out that first week. So I don't think that, just based on the data that we have, and we're tracking this actively because anytime a public company, a big one like Walmart, says that it has an impact, we have to track it, but we just don't see it in other companies. I don't think it's going to affect Domino's in particular. At least it hasn't yet. But I do love, like you said, I do love the delivery with Uber. And as far as the stock goes, it's kind of in the middle of the 52-week high and 52-week low. It's trading like around 350, I think, higher than the 285, lower than the 410. But it's tough. I mean, if it has significant dips, I think it's a decent investment. I'm not betting on it here just because even though they're best in class based on our data right now, I think they've got too much of a headwind with just competing with every other food genre out there.
Landon, we'll get you an earnings score here, but real quick, when you look at the technological advances in this, you don't think of pizza and technology at all, but they were one of the first ones to really develop their app. They're partnering with Microsoft now. You mentioned the Uber Eats thing. They're creating efficiencies through this and AI capabilities going down the road. Maybe that helps costs and efficiencies going down the road here, but is that maybe the caveat that makes them maybe a little bit better than anybody in the space, and whether it's pizza or any other type of food that you can get delivered?
I think so. I mean, they completely turned around their company. Just mentally rewind 10 or 15 years, Domino's was a joke. I mean, they had some of the worst pizza, worst service. They were doing terrible. They had a massive comeback. Now they're one of, if not the leader. It's an amazing story. And a lot of it is done, of course they had to reinvent their pizza, but then they also did a lot with technology like you're talking about. So they're obviously big on technology, and every company, even if it's a pizza company, can benefit from technology and increasing efficiency. I mean, if you are able to cut costs through efficiency by 5 or 10%, that goes straight to the bottom line, and shareholders are going to see that and appreciate that. The price of the stock will just go up. So I do like that they're innovative and that they're leveraging technology. That's another reason that, the data that we have says that they're leading the way, but just their attitude toward technology also gives me confidence that they're going to continue to innovate and get better. So again, if I've got to pick a pizza company, it's DPZ, but I might stay on the sidelines. When it comes to earnings score, this might be disappointing. We're actually a 0 exactly. So we have no bias one way or the other. If Ozempic and all that story is causing premiums to go up, maybe we could get in on some selling of premium in one way or the other, because we don't see a giant move out of this one based on the data that we're seeing right now.
All right, great stuff. Great data as always, Landon. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder at LikeFolio, breaking down the data. We have discussions in the newsroom here, Kevin, about